Hey everyone, happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a great day. I wanted to let you know that Steve is back from Shelbyville, the American Mule and Bluegrass Festival. He spent the last weekend out there, and if you were able to go out and see him, give us a shout out in the comment section. I hope you had a great time. I know that the film crew there is sending us several hours. I was going to say dozens of hours. That would make it like 36. I don't think we have that much, but lots of footage from the event, and we're going to be sharing it on Steve's YouTube channel, Steve's Instagram, and on Steve's Facebook page. So if you're not following him on any of those platforms and you use them, go ahead and make sure that you do. YouTube, we put a lot of stuff out there. Of course, we do the program every single week. Instagram has daily clips. There's a lot of really good stuff that we're sharing for free. You heard it, Steve's favorite F word, free. So make sure to follow. Today's program we're taking from just over a year ago when we talked August 2024. It's a really good program. It's nice, short, tight, and I hope you enjoy it. Folks, muleranch.com. Anything that you need, reach out, let us know. We'll talk to you soon. Enjoy today's program. On in the day, I want to say hello to Marcia, who is watching from sunny and cool Virginia, where it's in the 70s. Can't wait to get there ourselves here in Arizona. Dave is watching from East Texas. That is our very own Dave O'Brien. Have a great trip tomorrow, Steve. That's right. Have a great trip. Enjoy it. Merlin is watching from Northwest Minnesota, as Merlin does, 80 degrees, where it's very humid. Kyle is watching. Just says Kyle. Kyle, that's all you need to say. We are glad that you are here, my friend. Kai is watching from North Georgia, 76 degrees. Our friend Sherman is watching from Norman, Oklahoma, where it's 102 degrees. Good to have you here, Sherman. Polly from Barnesville, Minnesota, where it's 75 and beautiful. Polly's doing a little bragging there, but hey, if it's 75 and beautiful, I'd be bragging too. Kyle, Kyle. Nyssa, Oregon, where it is sunny. Hey, Bill is sharing to Mules of Ohio and Mules of Indiana. Beautiful weather today, 72 and sunny. And before we go any further, folks, I want to let you know that you can meet up with Steve in person at the end of the month. Steve is traveling to Shelbyville, Tennessee for the American Mule and Bluegrass Festival. And this is the third year in a row that Steve's gone. Steve, why don't you just do a 30 seconds real quick? Tell folks what to expect.
Well, expect to ask questions. Expect to see me working with a variety of people. If you want to bring your mule there and spend some time with me, now I can't spend the whole time with you, of course, but some hours here and there, or there's going to be lots of demonstrations I'm going to be doing. Or if you're close and you want to bring a mule, let me know. Get a hold of me, and we'll get you into schedule for sure. I've had people come from all over and brought their mules. So if you want to bring your mule, I'll be happy to help you out. You'll see me working with other mules there as well. Of course, in Tennessee, there's plenty of mules, but we're gonna have a good time, and it's for a good cause. There's no charge for it as far as my end goes. All of my clinics are free to everyone. All we ask is you make a donation to the Christian organizations that we're going to be doing. And so I'm looking forward to seeing you all. It's going to be here just a couple weeks away. We're not too far away from it now at all.
Yeah, it's coming up real quick. We've been talking about it for months. I know that Bill, what made me think of it right off the bat, I was going to mention it at some point, but Bill has said that him and Rory are going, and it sounds like they're trying to meet up, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So y'all, I put a link in the comments section for you to get all that information. One other thing I wanted to let you know about is we are doing our next free, you heard it right here, free training. This one is all about techniques for tuning up. This is a deep dive into surcingle training. Now, I have to tell you, folks, I've been talking with Steve for over 15 years now. We've been working together for years and years and years. And surcingle training is one of those things I just didn't understand. I'd heard him talk about it. I'd seen him put an animal in the round pen. I've heard him talk about all you need is the rope halter and balin twine, but it just never came together for me until probably about 3 or 4 years ago when I realized that, This is how you create a soft mule. This is how you create a willing donkey. And on the 4th, we're going to go into all of the reasons why that is. We're going to pull out some video. Steve's going to give some commentary, and it's going to be an opportunity for you to get the step by step. Steve's going to tell you the steps that he takes to get an animal that is willing and ready to do what it is you want it to do. It needs to see you as the herd leader. And surcingle training and some of the techniques that Steve's going to talk about, that will help you achieve exactly that, becoming the herd leader. So I put a link in the comment section. It's free. You do have to sign up, but I think you'll really enjoy it. And I know we enjoy doing it, and so many of our friends are there. Now, let's get into our first question. This one comes from YouTube. This one comes from a new viewer. This is UT. He says, I'm not a farrier, but I've been shoeing my horses for almost 25 years. A horse hoof outside surface walls generally needs to be filed as they grow disproportionately thick, mostly forward. Maybe the mule doesn't, but I got to keep in mind that the foot will grow unevenly in most cases, and those shoes have been on for weeks. And it's right to look them over, but they might have been better set when the shoeing job was completed. Also, it looked to me that the shoer didn't set the front shoe too far back on one that I was looking at, and the shoe was too large, half a size too large. I have a new mule and I need to trim him. Steve, what insight would you give to UT in terms of he's been shoeing horses, now he's looking to shoe mule?
Well, you're shoeing a mule is like you're shoeing a donkey. Unfortunately, they don't have a very good foot. And so when it comes to shoeing, you want to, first of all, balance the foot to the shoulder. So you look at the slope of the shoulder. It's going to be the same for the rear foot as it does the front foot. All right. And that way, unfortunately, a lot of people think they got to shoe them straight up and down, and you don't have to. You want to shoe the sleep. You want to trim to the slope of the shoulder. And then, of course, what happens is the outside wall does kind of grow sometimes out or oblong or different cases. And so you want to use a file to kind of rash that off. But other than that, it's pretty much like trimming a horse, except for a smaller foot. You want to always think about when you put a shoe on, you want to make sure that frog is pointing to the center of the shoe. Okay, that way it's the shoe is in the correct place, and then the frog points to the center of the shoe. And I always use 4 nails. That's all. Two in the front on the left, 2 in the front on the right, and that's it. And the reason I would do that is what we have on mules is a really bad problem of contraction. And it's called contraction heels. So from the quarters back, this foot is extremely soft. A lot of your old-timey mules have a little bit of a curve to them when it comes around from the toe, and then it comes around, and then it kind of comes in and then out at the heel. And so the old-timies had that, and that made it really, that was a pretty sorry foot. But anyway, then I like to take a nickel or a dime, depending on the hoof wall and stuff, and go all the way around the outside edge of the shoe and the hoof. And I want to see that all the way around. That way I have expansion. The biggest problem with shoers is they tend to shoe too tight. And so that'll help you out. And I've got a great video out that'll help you out as well.
Awesome. Fantastic. Next question. This one comes from Boris. Boris says, I'm looking into buying a mammoth jack stock. I was wondering if for a companion, it can be a smaller donkey like a mini. What would you say to Boris?
Well, Boris, you said jack stock. So are you talking about getting a breeding jack to breed and for an income? Or are you talking about happens to be that the donkey you're getting is a jack donkey? Now, I am not one for having pastor pets and buddies and this sort of thing. You need to be the herd leader for that mule, that donkey. You don't need to have a buddy for him. Don't do that. I have so many people that have contacted me that says, "Hey, I went and got myself a smaller donkey or a Shetland pony or something or a goat even." I got people who cannot load their mules in a trailer to go anywhere until the goat loads first. Then they'll load the mule and then they'll go, and they can't go nowhere without that goat. Yep, that happens. So do you need one? No, you don't need one. Okay, especially for the first 6 months. The first 6 months, you pretty much just want to be you and you only with your donkey, getting to build a good foundation.
That's awesome. Thank you for the question there, Boris. I want to say hello to Kenneth is watching from Patton, Montana, 73 and a beautiful day. We've got Brooke watching from Appomattox, Virginia at Brookstone Ranch, 80 degrees, which is cold to her, she says. Bill says, looking forward to Tennessee. Jerry is watching from Indiana. Weather is beautiful up here. I told a friend about you, Steve. Hope he gets on here. He just purchased a mule. I told him this is the best place to learn. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate that. Edna is watching from Spring Hill, Florida, where it is 87, warm, but not as humid. And I know you'll take that in Florida, Edna. Thank you. Mari is watching from Winston, Missouri. Jane says, hi from North Florida. Very hot here. 90s. Heat index is 100 or better. Joe is watching from Texas. Hot. Now, he says, I'm confused about Steve's 3, 6, 9, 12. Some of the videos seem to indicate 4 repetitions of 3. Total of 12. Other videos seem to indicate 3, 6, 9, 12, or a total of 40. Which is it? This is a great question, and I understand how it can get confusing. So, Joe, I'm really glad that you bring it up because it is something that Steve talks about a lot, and we want to make sure that you get the value out of it. Steve, can you clarify for Joe what you mean by the 3, 6, 9, 12?
Absolutely. So here's what we want to do, Joe. The majority of mules out there do not have much of a foundation. Most of their stuff is anyway, it's another story. So what we want to do is build a foundation. So 3 today, then we wait a couple of days or a week even, and we do 3 more. And now we got 6. Okay, so we'll do 6 on the second time, and then we'll do 9 on the third time, and then we'll do 12 on the fourth time. Now, that's what I usually do. But the biggest problem that we have is always everybody wants to get in a hurry and do more. Okay, gee, I'm doing really good. Let's do a little bit more. No, build a foundation. You do not have to train every day. Matter of fact, it's best that you don't train every day. It's best that you train, leave that mule or donkey alone, and then come back. 4 to 6 hours a week is a lot of training. And you don't want to do the 3, 6, 9, 12 all in one day either. You want to have a few days between time, and then it'll work for you. The big thing is, remember, you are building a foundation. So whatever you do on the left side, you need to do on the right side. So 3, 6, 9, 12 on the left, 3, 6, 9, 12 on the right.
Awesome. Joe, let me know if you have any follow-up questions. That's what we're here for. We've got another 45 minutes. So if you do have a follow-up question, love to get that answered for you. Steve, over this last week, we published a video, one of our past videos, talking about you using 4 nails for a shoeing. A lot of folks are used to hearing you want to use 6 nails for a shoeing. And so the clip that we ran was about 60 seconds, and there was a lot of discussion. Some folks say, I don't know why you would ever use 4 nails. Someone's saying, well, if you're just going to use 4, why don't you just use 2? And so I thought it would be a good opportunity just to talk a little bit more about the merits of 4 nails. How did you come to that? Was that something you were taught? Was that something that you discovered? And has there ever been any downside to using 4 versus the 6? What would you say about that?
Okay, so several years ago, I read a book called The Mule by Harvey Riley, and it was incredible. Now, Harvey Riley is a guy who took care of all the mules during the 1860s, Civil War time, roughly. Okay. And he started putting together how to's so that new people would know what to do, how to look for this sort of thing. And so one of the things he mentioned, which really caught my ear, and I started using it, was on a mule's hoof, we need expansion. Okay. The biggest problem is it's already too small for the size of body that's on the horse. But we need to have expansion, important in contraction, expansion and contraction. And so he suggests that you use only 4 nails in the toes. That's it. Those 4 nails were in the right place. And remember, they made all their own shoes and they made their own nails. You have to think about that. Okay. And so they used uh, only 4 nails. And that way they could have, when the foot would come down and hit the ground, it would expand. It would come up, it would contract, expand, contract, expand. Got the idea? And so by doing that, what you did then is the frog got healthier. You started pumping good blood up and down the legs because that's what the frog does. And so it helps to have that so that you don't get a contracted heel. Unfortunately, what happens is the back of the hoof will start getting closer and closer and closer together, making the frog hard. Okay, which is important to think about that because when the frog is hard, we can't get the blood pumping up and down the leg like we want. So it did a good job of helping the mule be very healthy in the legs. And I done it, I probably started it 25 years ago, and I've done it ever since and suggest for people to do it. It's a great way to shoe. It makes for a healthy foot. And I'm back here in these rocks. It's tough country. Okay. You can pull a shoe off with 8 nails. 8 nails. You can pull a shoe off with 6 nails. All right. Let alone my 4 that I suggest that you do to you. So don't think about, oh, it's easier to pull a shoe off. No, it's not. Okay. And I found that if you put them on correctly, clench them correctly, you're going to have a beautiful hoof. So there you are. That's my in general thought on the 4 nails. Now, like that Harvey Riley book, folks, that's really interesting. I know several of you in the past has gotten with me and said, "Wow, what an interesting book." So if you get a chance, it was Harvey Riley, and it's called The Mule. Simply The Mule.
All right, I'm looking for it right now. I'll see if I can get a link to it in the comment section so folks can go straight.
I've seen it on eBay and Amazon. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I did a search, and I think I'm going to have to do a little digging, but we'll see if we can find it. Hey, Kyle is watching, says, I have a 4-month-old Molly. I've been hands from day one. I now feel like I need to let her grow up. At what age and how often would you start an intensive training program? What age would you wean a mule full? So what does he mean, I've been hands from day one?
Well, evidently he's doing what Dr. Miller would call imprinting.
Okay.
Touching all over the animal. If it's got a hole, your finger goes in it. That way he gets used to the human feel and touch. So I wean them usually about 6 months. I usually geld them when their testicles are hanging, and then when I wean them, I usually try to get the mother away so that the baby cannot make any advances as far as getting dinner or breakfast.
And then he says, I need to let her grow up. At what age and how often would you start an intensive training program?
Well, I usually start my intensive training as soon as I pull them off their mama. I start with ground foundation training, where I really get serious about it. But otherwise, as soon as they're born and I can start picking up all their feet, I'm going to do that. Pick up all their feet and thump them, move my hands around everything. But my intensive training would be groundwork, and that would be about 6 months old. And then, I would keep adding to my groundwork. I would give them obstacles to cross. I would give them things to do so that they understand that come along rope pretty much tells them what they're going to be doing.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate that. Um, let's see. Annette is watching from Colorado Springs. Myra is watching from California. Always good to join you guys. Rocky, Jody, and Larry are watching from Warm, Washington. And who are Rocky, Jody, and Larry? Steve.
Rocky used to be my mule. He was quite the character. And then Jody, she, her and Rocky, it was just a natural meeting of the minds. And then she's got this great husband by the name of Larry, and he could see the almost perfect connection there as well. You all know that I don't sell mules, and I try to stay away from that end of it. But I needed a good home for Rocky, and it ended up that that Jody ended up being the home. It was the perfect place for Rocky to retire, and he's got a good foundation. And so far, he's made him happy.
That's awesome. We love hearing that. All right, next question comes from our friend North, and North says, my two standard donkeys got into the goat feed and ate about 25 pounds of it. What do I do?
Oh man, you gotta, I, lots of different things. All right. Number one, when you get that rich a feed on a donkey, it's going to immediately go into the fat pockets, and the downside, it can go into their feet. So feel their legs and their body. Feel if there's any heat in any particular place, especially going down into the hoof. Now, I have had times to keep my mules or donkeys from foundering. I've actually walked them in a mud hole or even made a mud hole and had them stand in the cool to keep them from overheating and sloughing a hoof. So, you always want to keep any type of heavy feed like that. You want to keep it under lock and key, because when these donkeys and mules get a hold of it, they could die from it. So you want to kind of be watching for founder in the foot, and you want to be kind of, exercising them, walk them. If you could put them in a wagon, drive them, do things like that would be really good. And keep the drugs near. And what I mean by that is you may have to, if you get one that's colicky, you may have to be able to use, if you got them, use, there's some good drugs out there, but you contact your vet, tell him what you got. Always, folks, always, when you're calling a vet, they need to know the temperature of the mule, okay? They need to get an idea of his last meal. They need to get an idea of his heart rate and his lung use. They need to know that. So if you could tell him, okay, he's got a temperature of, he's got 30 beats per minute, if he's got 20 breaths per minute, yada yada yada, wherever it may be, practice that, okay, and that way you get the information to him. But there you are. That's really tough, because when your animals get into grain or any type of high energy stuff, that's a good cause to be concerned.
What was the thing you said? You said something about digging a hole. What was that?
Oh, well, what I have done in the past is I've made a mud hole. I dug a deal out, or maybe I already got one. It's about 3-4 inches deep, and I run a water hose in it, and it's cool. And then the animals can stand in the cool of that mud, and it helps keeping them from getting their hooves, separation of the lamina, and cracked hooves and this sort of thing. Because what happens is that feed is very very hot, and it can create all kinds of colicky problems and all kinds of foot problems. So sometimes you got to dig a hole, fill it full of water, stand them in there, let them stand until they cool down, and that'll help some if you get any type of founder.
All right, that's good. I've never heard that before. I appreciate that question, North. Thank you so much. Hopping back over, let's see here. Karen is watching from Plattsburgh, New York, 65 and cloudy. Ava is off at the park. We'll let her know that we miss her. And we always love having Ava joining us for our live broadcast, Karen. Rory, Southwest Ohio, nice day today, 72 with puffy clouds. Late but not forgotten. And Rory, we already talked about you. You'll have to go back and watch the replay or ask Bill. We were showing you some love. Myra says, Steve, do you have any suggestions for dealing with a super tactilely sensitive mule? Her bubble stays around 1 foot beyond my hand.
Yeah, and when you got one like that, Myra, that keeps your hands full because they just don't want nothing to do with humans, and it's tough. Yeah, I have given them treats to get them to come in, but I'd rather have them away from me than on top of me. So there again, that come along hitch, you cannot overdo it, and it's the best thing you can do. You're going to make small advances, very small. When you got a meal that's unwilling and doesn't really want to be part of you, you're going to get little tiny fragments of that a boy. So just be prepared for it. Get the come on hitch on there and use it. Use it. I mean, all the time. Brushing, walking, anytime. You use that come along rope.
Awesome. Judy is watching from Gazelle, California, where it's about 75 degrees, overcast, and there are reports of rain in a few days. I would love reports of rain in a few days. Matter of fact, I'd love the rain to fall. One of my favorite landscapes of all time, folks. If you have never been to one of course, we don't really do them a whole lot anymore, but for those who attended a Queen Valley Mule Ranch clinic on site at Steve's Ranch, one of the most beautiful scenes in my entire life is looking at Steve's backyard, which I believe is all state land. And after it has rained, it's the desert with green everywhere. It's just this hybrid of rock and grass, of brush and life, of flowers and weeds, and it's just unlike anything you've ever seen. And so whenever we get rain coming out, I love looking at the desert. Steve's got the best view, but I love looking at the desert and just seeing how it comes to life. All this stuff that's been hidden comes to life for a few weeks, and it's awesome. It's great. So send the rain our way, Judy. Cheryl is watching from North Carolina, where it's gorgeous, 77 degrees and sunny. Hey, our friend David Pengelly, great day here in Manchester. The Mule book is real nice. Everyone will enjoy it. Lots of good information. And folks, I did find it. We actually put a link to it on Steve's website several months ago because Steve had been mentioning it. So I put a link up there. You can click the link in the comments section. I titled it the book. The Mule book Steve was recommending. So if you find that in the comment section, click that, and that will take you to The Mule by, it was Riley. What was it?
Harvey Riley.
Harvey Riley. There you go. That'll take you over there. Annette says, I'm working with an ear-shy 3-year-old donkey. I can lay all over him, pick up all 4 feet, catch anywhere. How do I use your come along to get him better with ears? He is extremely laid back, but not with his ears.
Okay, of course, there could be lots of things with the ears. It could very well be that maybe he got some mites in there or something's in there that's pestering him. But this is where and I do this with every mule and donkey, folks. I teach them to learn to twitch, and that twitch is really, really a wonderful tool when you get some that are hard to work with a vet and this sort of thing. It's a natural way to give the mules a way to get quiet and soft. Natural endorphins kick in. It's a wonderful thing using my twitch, and I've got a video that goes with the twitch, and that would be what I would use. Mules and donkeys are very subservient about their nose, okay? And so because they're very subservient with their nose, it's where we do most of our training. Now, what I would do is I would put the twitch on, and I would kind of open and close it and create the natural endorphins and get the mule where he gets real soft and kind of hang his head and gets quiet. Well, when he starts doing that, I'm going to start rubbing around the ears. you'll get to where you can do all kinds of things. Now, when you can, try to look in there, and you may have to take some, some napkins or something like that and wipe out inside. And never ever take hair out. Never take your trimmers and trim all the hair out. It's a natural way to keep the inside of the hair, keep the inside of the ear healthy. So you could very well find something, or maybe not. But the thing about the the twitch is it allows them to get natural endorphins and get quiet and get sleepy, and you'll see their head bop around. It's a wonderful tool. But then you can start working the ears, and pretty soon, which a lot of people see me do, I take the twitch and I hang it on my wrist, and I keep on rubbing them. Pretty soon I'm rubbing the ears, and I'm not even touching the twitch. Now, I do the same thing, 3, 6, 9, 12 to build a foundation. And folks, a foundation should be over a 3 to 6 month time frame.
Steve, next question we have comes in from Don. Don says, what does Steve think about a Bozal?
I love them. They're a wonderful tool. Unfortunately, they get used incorrectly the majority of the time. I have several Bozals that I use. They're all handmade by Nick West, my old mentor for doing, not only making Bozals, cutting rawhide, but for using them. Now, is it an everyday tool to use on your mules and donkeys? No. Okay. I do all of my foundation training with my come along hitch rather than a Bozal. Okay. Because mules and donkeys learn better from their nose than they do from their mouth. So I use the come along hitch in place of using the Bozal to build a foundation. It's a wonderful tool, but unfortunately, few people know how to use it.
Awesome. Let's see here. Tamar is watching from Mount Marshall, Queensland, and it means finally we have gone international. Queensland, Australia, where it is sunny and clear. Thank you for the report, Tamar. We love knowing what's going on with all of our friends down under. Karen says, I went to clean Ashley's stall and noticed about 2 to 3 inches pool of very red blood with a trail of a few spots of blood. Looks like menstrual blood. Is that even possible?
It could be possible, but I'd be concerned. I'd be looking her over really good. Of course, me not being there and seeing it, it'd be kind of hard to tell. But it's really rare in a Jenny or a Molly to show much in the way of menstrual blood. Don't get me wrong. There's always that odd one that can be unique, but I'd be checking her over really good, and then I would mark your time frames on your calendar, and then check it out and see how things go down the calendar way.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Karen. Judy says, I bought my Molly at 5 months old. And that was how she was weaned. She was placed in a pen attached to a 12 by 12 foot stall. Horses were nearby. I used Steve's method with the come along rope for about 3 months. She learned the basics, and then I started to give her turnout time in a larger area with the horses every day so she could grow up better. I never did the training times longer than about 20 minutes. She has been given lots more time out with the horses in the day since then and still gets lots of handling. I will get more serious when she is 18 months to 2. She is now 15 months. In the meantime, she gets lots of different handling on occasion. She has never been tied, and I only use the come along hitch. She is coming along slowly but surely. So Judy's given us a report there of how things are going with her Molly. Any comments there, Steve?
No, that's great. Congratulations. I'm glad you're seeing the small steps will get you big steps. When you really start her training, it would be no more turning out into pastures. It would be staying in a small pen, and you can get a lot more done that way. But congratulations. You're doing awesome.
That's great. Hey, our friend Dale is here. Hi, guys. I'm late, but here it's 65 and awesome. Missing my fishing buddy.
That's my buddy Dale Williams up there. And are you still Yeah, I think he's still in Canada. He's going to be up there till October. That was pretty awesome.
There we
Yeah.
go. International. Got to have it come. Brooke says, watching from Brooke from Brookstone Ranch, the mule I have bolts and takes off without warning on the ground. Always hard to catch. Last time was a week ago and I was getting on. Took 2 hours to catch him. Steve, what encouragement do you have for Brooke and her bolting mule?
Well, here you go, Brooke. She is an example of people using wrong halters and then poor techniques because they feel your hand, okay, on that rope. And you're using a nylon halter, you're teaching mega bad habits. You're using an improper adjusted rope halter, you're using mega habits that are bad. So, I would say number one, as with always, when you're training folks, 20 by 20 stall. That's the biggest. 10 by 20 is my favorite. Okay. I can get a lot more done than that. And then the mule, start small. You can start right there in your corral. Put the come along hitch on. If she looks to the right, bump her straight. She looks to the left, bump her straight. If she looks up, bump her down to where she'll come down straight. And you start small and work your way up to going out. Riding, don't be starting to ride. You need to build a foundation so that this mule trusts you. Right now, you have no trust, and you can easily get dragged by this mule when he all of a sudden decides, I'm out of here. So fix it.
Steve, next question I got. I know you've been in touch with our friend Marcia, and I don't know if you talked to her about this, but I saved the question because I wanted everybody to be able to hear it. She was talking about the back cinch coming forward, keeping an eye on it, and adjusting it often. So the first question that I have is when people get the saddle fixed correctly, and by correctly, I mean if you're unsure, send Steve a picture and he will give you feedback on how to get the saddle position correctly. That back cinch, it's supposed to be snug in the back, the front cinch looser. What do you do when that back cinch continues to move? Is it something that you can fix, or is that just part of the game?
Well, it kind of also depends on the belly of the mule. You get a big old belly of the mule, you'll be fighting it all the time, okay? But the back cinch will be straight up and down. Front cinch would be a little bit of an angle. That's because of the hourglass belly of the mule. So uh, if the cinch is moving forward, that's most likely a pretty good sized belly that you need to work on. Or it could even be it's not tight, not the correct tightness. Now, are you using my cinches? Are you using uh, uh, my saddle blanket?
That's a good question. I'm not quite sure. She does follow up and she says, I also have a question about getting on the saddle. Steve keeps saying not to get up on the saddle the old way of holding the horn in the back of the saddle. And she wants to know why. What do you do as an alternative and why do you do that?
Okay, so to get on correctly, folks, and it's the old Bronx style because if you're in the center of the shoulder, you're at the safest place you can be around an equine. Why do I get a hold of the horn and why do I get a hold of the mane and pull up? It's because if you grab a hold of the horn in the back of the cantle, you will pull it over. Okay? There ain't no saddle in the world going to handle that. Ain't no way. Okay? But when you catch a hold of it correctly and you got the saddle down in a sweet spot, then it's really easy to get on without the saddle rolling. That's the biggest problem, especially if you're using some of these cinches out there. They're not very good. That over tighten an animal. I use 4 nylon latigos. I don't use billets at all, and that all helps to be able to maintain keeping the saddle into place.
Awesome. Thank you for the question, Marcia. Ronnie is watching from Graham, Texas. It's 106 here. I'm looking forward to fall and trail riding. Man, who is not, Ronnie? You know what? That's not even gone international, but I'm just going to go ahead, throw the chimes there because that is what we are all looking forward to. All of us, at least, who are in the parts of the U.S. where it is just blazing hot. So good to have you here, Ronnie. Bill says, I've been using the Twitch procedures lately. It's made a difference on my head and face shy mule. He's coming along real good now. Now, I want to bring up the humane twitch. I meant to bring this up a minute ago, and I got caught up in the next question. When Steve brought me out to the ranch and said, I want to film a video showing us doctoring on this mule, I said, okay. And I'm pretty green. And he gets out this thing that looks like a giant nutcracker, and he puts he puts the mule's lips inside of it. And I thought, oh my gosh, he is going to ruin this animal right here. Well, the reason why we were doing it is because there was an eye infection, and the mule would not let you get close to the eye. Didn't want you touching it at all. So Steve takes this humane twitch. I put a link in the comment section. Y'all can click it. You can see what I mean. It looks like a giant, like nutcracker, not one of these nutcrackers, but ones like a vice that you have in your hand. And he starts easing in and out. It's humane, but it looks barbaric. And he starts easing in and out. And all of a sudden you physically see the mule relax. And you see them nice and soft. And Steve takes the ointment, doctors up on the eye. No jerking, no tugging, no nothing. And as soon as he's done, takes the rope back off, eases a little bit, takes it off, and you're done. And it was about 15, 20 minutes. And I thought, Steve's going to have to really get a hold of this thing in order to put the ointment on. And really, it was miraculous. So I put a link in the comment section to the humane twitch, and Bill's right. It makes a huge difference when you've got, well, is it just for doctoring? He's talking here about head, face, shy. Where are some other instances when folks might say, hey, it would be good to have the humane twitch right here?
It's good for having one that doesn't want to pick up a foot, that wants to pull away. It's always good for doctoring. It's always good for ear shy and face shy. It creates natural endorphins, folks. You see, one of the problems is people keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And that's why I tell you do 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay. So if you'll take your time and use the twitch correctly, you'll find it's an awesome tool, and you'll get a lot done. Whoop! There she goes. I got a yawn.
Oh. Do you have firefighter training today?
Yeah, I got fire training right after this.
Can't fall asleep, Steve. You gotta go make sure you're up and ready to go for whatever happens.
Yeah. We'll get her going.
All right. All right. Janet is watching from Kingman, where she's given us a precise 103.6. Sounds like a radio station. Almost missed you today, but you didn't. We're here. You caught us, and hopefully we'll make it worth your time. Ashley is watching from Minneapolis. Cloudy, 75 degrees, painting the house and taking us with you. You are, Ashley. Thank you. Mari is watching. Mari Nelson, Mule Ranch, she says. I learned a lot from the book, The Mule. I love it. Brooke says, thank you, Steve. I have your halter and already had the rope. Just got your videos. I had a John Boy for a year. He's in a 10 by 20 pen. He just started this 2 months ago. So far, 3 times this has happened. What's a John Boy? See, folks think that I know all the mules and the donkeys. I know a lot of things, but I don't know everything. Steve knows even more, but he'll say he doesn't know everything. But do you know what a John Boy is? Well, I've never heard that.
It's kind of a terminology that a lot of people give to a John Mule. You know, there used to be John Boy with that family years ago. What was it? Family back in the 1800s. They'd say, good night, John Boy, when they go to bed. Anyway, a lot of people use that terminology for their John Mules. So it's nothing that really means anything, but it's just a fun terminology.
All right. Well, that helps. Now I know, and knowing's half the battle.
I can't think of the
Uh,
name of that show.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. If anybody knows, put it in there, and we'll give you a glockenspiel,
Well,
like the sound, not an
at
actual
the end,
glockenspiel.
that's right. At the end of the show, you'll see all the lights going out. Actually, they use lanterns, and then you'd hear "Good night, Jimmy. Good night, John. Good night, John boy."
The Waltons.
Waltons. There you are.
There we go. Thank you, Polly.
Polly, go ahead.
Rory as well. Okay, Judy says, I saw a notable mule trainer video. This trainer trains her mules to be tied to a hitching rail solid and so short that they can't move their heads. Do you have an opinion on this? So I want to ask two questions, Steve. What would be the reason for doing this? Why would somebody say to do it? And then what would be your take on that mechanism?
Well, it has its advantages tying to a hitching post. Believe me, I've done it a lot. I usually like to have about a foot or so on an average when I first start them out, but I don't do them really close. 12 inches is about the closest I want. And now, if you have a properly adjusted rope halter, it works nice because you go to the left and then the halter bumps him. Go to the right, the halter bumps him. Go back up, the halter bumps him. So it will quickly get your mule to be centered. I don't, 12 inches would be about the closest I'd want to do it. I'd be afraid of him getting hung up. That's what I'd be afraid of. I have seen some mules get on a fight and get their legs up on the rail as well, and now you've got one that you're going to get yourself hurt on. So my personal opinion is I wouldn't do that.
All right, Steve. Next one here. I got a picture, and our friend B writes, "How do I keep my minis from peeing in this spot? How do I keep my minis from peeing in this spot?"
Yeah, put you some tires on there. Get you a car tire and put it down. If you don't like them, that's what they usually do. Pump in front of poop in front of the gate, or where you're going to walk back and forth. But that's what I do. I put a couple tires down, then they'll have to move out of the way. Okay. And finally, when they get to where they're pooping and peeing in the right place, I take my tires out. But that's what I do. I'll take up a couple 14-inch tires and put them down in that spot. They won't come around that way and they'll move.
Okay, awesome. Simple. I like that. Let's see here. Merlin says, I use the twitch on a cob gelding that is very bad about his hooves. Calming him with the twitch works wonders. Love hearing that. The Waltons, the Waltons, the Waltons, the Waltons. Looks like you and me were the only ones that didn't know, Steve. Everybody else was on top of it. Let's see. Karen just said that she just found the book, The Mule, for free on Kindle. So there you go. If you all want to search for The Mule on Kindle, Karen says she found it for free. So Amazon, you can search on there and look for the Kindle. Myra says The Wah. I think she saw that everyone was typing Walton. She's like, oh, they'll know what we mean. Janet says, I have the same problem with my Mini peeing in the run in shed, and now the new donkey is peeing in there too. Ugh, yeah, no joke. I would hate that. Hey, next question. This one's really simple. This one comes from Play. Says, can donkeys eat old apples? At my work, we sometimes have apples that start to get soft, and I can't give them to guests. I was wondering if I could take them home to my donkeys, since they usually like apples as a treat every once in a while.
Well, when apples start going bad, they make a sour mash, and this sort of thing. So it depends on if it don't smell bad, then sure, give it to them. I can tell you that when I give, which is rare, if I want to give an apple or a carrot or something like that, I usually do it for ones that don't want to come to me. So what I do, I hand them the apple, but I put it toward their chest. All right. So I put it to, they have to back away from me. They have to get out of my space to get the apple. So, and my preference is don't feed them by hand because you can lose fingers. My preference is just to throw them in the feeder, a couple, 2 or 3 apples, and go from there. And always want to remember that when you start changing feed, you got a good opportunity for colicking one. So you always want to do things like that very carefully.
All right, good question there. Let's see here. Brooke says, John Boy is my mule's name. There you go. So she calls him John Boy. Judy says, I love the tire method to keep the poop and pee away from the gate. I'm going to try that. They are also going to learn how to step all over the tires going out of the gate. Cowboy Ken is watching. Hello, guys. Sorry I'm late. You know what? We will forgive you. We'll let it go this one time and probably in the future too. This one comes from Amy. I recently got my first horse who's been sharing a living space with my grandparents' two donkeys, a shed with two different parts. There's a wall between them and his door will be closed. The donkeys free roam around the area, not my donkeys. It's just how they've lived their whole life and get stressed if kept in one place and will be walking past his field to get into their part of the stable. Without my knowledge, my grandparents threw the three of them in the same field, which went bad. Long story short, and now I'm worried about them encountering again. If done slowly, I think the older donkey should get along with my horse as they're quite similar temperament wise, but the daughter can be rowdy. What's the safest way to introduce them slowly? Should I just let them look at each other over the fence and when they're ready, let them together for a short period of time? Obviously, they won't be left unsupervised until it's 100% certain they'll get along.
Okay, so my deal is I never want a bunch of animals together. If you've got the availability and can do it, each animal needs to be in a separate stall. Now here's the downside. and it has to do with their health. When you're watching one's health, you want to see their poop and their urine. That tells you how healthy they are. You want to see the salt they're taking in. You want to see their feed they're taking in. Because each individual donkey and mule and horse needs their particular dietary needs. All right? So if it was me, no animals would be in the same stall together. Okay? My wife's mule, and of course all my other mules too, but my wife's mule, to give you an idea, we got her as a 2-year-old, and she died at 28 with cancer. So for 26 years, she was in a 20 by 20 stall. That's where she was. Yes, you can introduce them through the fence, and they can play nosies and that sort of thing. But here's the problem, all right? Somebody in the herd has to be the herd leader. And unfortunately, when mules and donkeys are trying to be a herd leader, this is what happens. They can get hurt, bit, kicked, this sort of thing. So that's the other second big reason I don't keep my animals close together. It's too easy for them to bite and kick and hurt each other. I thought you were going to tell me that the one older donkey beat up on the bigger mule, and which happens a lot. Okay, so personally, I don't put them in pens together. Personally, I leave them completely in their small stalls. And by doing that, I'm able to keep track of their health.
That's a good question. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Dale says, hi, Steve. You have seen our place. How large would you build a corral for my mule? It will have shade from the trees. Would 30 by 30 be okay?
Well, 30 by 30 is pretty big, Dale. 20 by 20 is what all of my mules were pretty much spent their life. And when mules would come to the ranch for training, I put them in a 10 by 20 stall to start with, so that I can control their movements, and that worked really good. So there you are. That's what I do, 20 by 20 stall.
Very good. Let's see here. Trying to see if I've got any questions left. No, yes, here's one that I set aside. Somebody asked a question last week about toys. That was our first question ever that I recall somebody asking about toys. We got another question this week from screen name Friendly Donkey. So let's hope so. Hoping for toy recommendations for a donkey that insists the only toy it likes is a log. My silly donkey will not play with any of the toys I've gotten her. Jolly balls, exercise balls, rubber chickens, tennis balls, thick ropes. The only one she likes, the only toy she does like is when I stuff treats into the fall out, she rolls and throws it. She also very much likes having her halter on, but this is because she knows it means that a lead is coming. Walks are the best thing ever. Currently, she insists that the best toy in the world is a log from the wood pile. Well, we will leave a log or two and swap it once a month, but really, can she play with anything else? Any suggestions?
Well, some of them do. Some of them like to paw and dig. Some like a jolly ball. You just have to find what they works the best. And these logs, you want to, a lot of times they'll paw them and chew on them, and it's really good for their teeth. I know what we do here is we throw a Palo Verde branch into the pin, and they love chewing on it, moving around, this sort of thing.
If you don't have Palo Verde, what's some other wood that's acceptable?
It's going to depend on your country. I don't know all these different woods that different people have, but I would ask your vet, what would be poisonous, what wouldn't be. Of course, pine is always a pretty good one. You can feed them a 2x2, I suppose. But, you just have to ask your vet what would be poisonous, what would not be poisonous.
Awesome. Steve, that's it. We got through everything today. Folks, thank you so much for hanging out. I want to let you know before you leave, we want you to register for our next live training. It is Steve's webinar all about techniques for tuning up, and it is going to be a deep dive in the surcingle. We want to teach you how to create a willing and soft mule or donkey. You can sign up, register here. You can sign up at the link I just put in the comment section. It's free. Did you hear it right there? It's free. And after you sign up, we'll send you confirmation. You'll get instructions on how to join. It's September 4th, and even if you can't join live, sign up anyways, because we'll send you the replay link, and you'll get that within the several hours after the event is over. So, Steve, anything you want to say before we're all done today?
No, we're good, man. I'm good to see you and good to hear the group, and we'll see you. We'll see you next week.
Awesome. Sounds great. Take care, everyone. God bless, and have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.